Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my Star Wars world. And in the last one we finished up all three of these initial islands. So we got our Mustafar Island over here, we got the Endor Island here where we finished up the satellite dish here, and we also have Tatooine. And now it's time to move on and leave this area, and it's a little bit sad, but we are going to be working on the next big project, which is going to be amazing. But for this episode we need something special, and it's a really big project, and that's why it's been a bit of a delay. So I am sorry for the delay in this episode, but you're going to see why. And that is this. This is not been very nice for me, being in this little tight cramped space. I need a nice nether hub. So first things first, we need to dig probably the biggest hole I've dug yet. So after all these large projects, this one eclipses them. This is going to be a giant hole. So let's just get straight to it. Well, that is one giant hole dug out, and now we can get to actually building up this nether hub, which I have been waiting so long to do. I've really been looking forward to this project, And yeah, let's get straight into the building. And that is it, my nether hub is finished. No, of course I'm just joking. This is just the initial layer, and you can probably tell from the thumbnail and from this what I'm going to be building. However, this is now going to be the very difficult part. You'll also see that I've added an extra portal here. That is for Mustafa, just to have that one here as well. So if we go through here, you should see that it will come out at the station next to the hallway. So I put it in here. I was going to put it in one of the vehicles, but to be honest it didn't really fit in very well, and you can see the blocks from the outside, so I thought that it would be better just to kind of hide it away. But now for the next step, there's one thing I do want to do, and I can't even see it with the shaders on. Where is it? I know it's up here somewhere. Oh, there it is. There is now a hole up here. So if we just fly up here, I want to basically get rid of the bedrock up here so we can get rid of this little platform, if I can land on it, because at the moment we've just been using this teleport pad. So now I need redstone and stone, and basically I'm going to do the same thing I did previously, which was the lag machine thing that allows you to break the bedrock. It should be much easier to do it this time around because I don't have anywhere near as blocks as I did when I did my fortress. So this will be much better. Now hopefully I can remember how to do it so I don't have to go and watch a video again, but we'll see. That was pretty lucky. I forgot that this was above me. I nearly just blocked off my beacon completely. Right, one thing I do need is insta-mineable blocks. I think it was like this, maybe. And then we do this. And this, I think. And then we need to activate my thing. And then like that, and then we go underneath, and we break the piston, and we place underneath. Oh, I didn't break the redstone. Yeah, I did that wrong. Jeez, I didn't even click it that long. We place it, we break the redstone block above, and then we click this, and then we have to break the block next to it. I remember now. We don't want to do that for too long. We go here, we go underneath, and we place. Come on, I barely pressed that. Oh, there we go. Hopefully. Yes, that worked. Okay, brilliant. So I know how to do it. Nice, that's two more. Maybe I'm just rusty, but this is less consistent than last time and it's winding me up. Alright, nice. That is one layer done. I'm just going to finish the rest and we'll be back. Well, even though you can't really see it, the tunnel is actually finished up here. So if I can find it, there we go. And I just put a block on top just to kind of cover it up, and some grey wool up there as well, just to stop the mob spawns for my mob farms up the top. which means we can now get rid of this platform down here because we don't want this here for the actual nether hub. It's going to be in the way. To do the next step, I need a bunch of nether stars, and I've been getting these the manual way, one at a time, and oh my goodness, it is taking forever, and I have all of these skulls to go through. This is probably way too many for my needs. I think I need like just under one shulker box for the main room, and then I'm probably going to do more rooms, so we will need more eventually. So there we go. I've been doing it like this, managing to stand here and just doing it, and then this pushes all of the items towards me. However, yeah, this is taking way too long. So I decided to try and look up some decent wither crammers. There really wasn't a lot of good options, and then I found one video, and I am very grateful to the one who made that video. It's an update of a Borkon old crammer, and he updated it to be 1.19 plus, and that is Timmy. And yeah, I'll share the link in the description. But what I'm going to need to do now is dig a big hole. I did make a couple of little changes to this schematic as well. Like this part here, it just drops soul sand off for me so I can sit there AFK, and I've set this guy off. Oh goodness, I'm not really scared of these anymore. Not since the days of iron armor. So the other thing that I changed here, if I can get a good spot to view it, is this. This little minecart hopper wasn't here in his design, and I was finding the nether stars getting stuck on there. So just using a piston, I pushed that in, and that seems to have fixed the issue. But now is the long task of building this, because it's in end stone, so this is going to take a very long time. So I tried doing this by digging out as little as possible. So hopefully I do have enough space for everything, or I haven't missed any blocks hidden behind stuff, but I think I'm all good. I did also add these 2 obsidian blocks in myself just to stop it pushing off the end. It's not really necessary, I just did it for my own peace of mind. Alright, I believe that is everything set up. Now I just need to test it. And this is where things start to get a little bit nervous. One last thing, I need a tunnel to get down to the actual nether stars. And there we go. Now I can just come up here and get out this way. Well, that was way easier. Now I have 2 full shulker boxes of these, and I can always come back and get more. It took like an hour to get that, by the way. Like a whole shulker box was 1 hour, and I'd done half of this one, and this took me like 20 minutes. So probably this one took about 40 minutes, but I did go away from the computer, and I didn't really know exactly how long it took. But yeah, that's so quick using this machine. But I have a feeling that the next part of this is not going to be anywhere near as quick, and that is going to be me actually placing all of these down with the item frames. So let's see how that goes. I love the look of the black concrete with the shaders on. It just looks so cool, like a big void. It's so dark you can't see anything, and it just looks funny seeing all the mobs walk on it. But now we do need to mob proof this area, and we have a way to do that. But before I get to that, we actually need to put some stuff on these walls, and this is the part that is going to take me forever, and we have the resources in these chests to do it. By the way, this is what I have left, and this is all my empty shulker boxes. So yeah, that was the walls and the floor, and it only took me like a few hours. It wasn't even that bad. But this next part is going to take me a very long time, and I'm just deciding how I want to go about it, because I need to go all the way up the walls and I need to be next to it. Oh, for goodness sake. Alright, he hits me once and then he runs away. Yeah, so I need to do these walls, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about now. So this is the part where things get really long for me, because I need to do /trigger if invisible, and yeah, I'm gonna have to do this for every single one. And as you can tell from the size of my walls, there is going to be a lot, but we'll take a step back in a second and I'll show you exactly how this looks. Because there's something quite interesting. You'll see I've put these sculpt veins and vines, and they cover up parts. I discovered this by complete accident. Like, I didn't know this was a thing, but I was basically doing patches, copying them and pasting them across the wall, and it turns out that you can place those items over the the item frame, and when you make the item frame invisible, it actually flattens it. So you can actually see down in the bottom right of the screen, there is one item frame here that the item is showing through the vines instead of behind, because when you make it invisible, it actually flattens it against the wall. So this whole thing was a complete fluke that I found, and you'll see when I finish these what effect it actually has, and it's really, really cool. And one other thing is these amethyst crystals, because they're different sizes, it actually gives me another way to make different size stars as well, which really is so cool how it all kind of comes together. And on the small scale, you'll see the effect that I'm talking about, but on the large scale, that's when you'll see really how it looks. And you can see that there's a start there. Now, of course, these are the ones that are covered up, and you can see how from this distance they look smaller. It creates this effect of having different size stars. The amethyst crystals also glow with the shaders on. If I turn the shaders off, you can see it still looks pretty good. It's just the amethyst aren't as nice. It's really with the shaders where this whole effect just really pops, and you can imagine now when the whole thing's done, it's going to look amazing. But it is going to take me a very long time, and I think that the solution is going to be to essentially just use what they're called, scaffolding, because I also have a bunch on the roof as well, and we're going to have some around the corners. You might also be wondering then why I have this big black patch in the middle of the room. Now, of course, something happens in the night sky when you see a certain object, stars behind it get blocked. So we will be doing something along those lines later in the episode, but for now, let's work on getting all of these stars in. Well, that is the floor finished, and I don't know yet if you can actually see in the time lapse, but I covered it all in glass, that way nothing will spawn down there. But now we are getting a few spawns because I made a few changes down here, and you can see I've laid out all of this. There is a reason for this. To be honest, I am going to need a full layer for me to stand on to do the entire roof up there, so yeah, I'm going to have these anyway. And I thought, you know what would be a good idea is if we set all this little piston setup up. So basically we'll come into the middle, we can place one item down in here, and it will just break all of them in one go, hopefully due to the rails being less delay. They just should be instant. I'm not sure about the observers. We'll see how it goes, but that way once I've finished all of the walls, we can do a big reveal for you guys. But for now, I need to jump into finishing off all of these stars, which is going to take me ages, so wish me luck. As usual, I have severely underestimated the amount of blocks I'm going to need, and this is 3 shulkers of scaffolding. I've barely even done one wall, so this is going to take ages. "18 shulker boxes of this scaffolding." So now it's time for the big reveal. And I'll tell you what, if any of this redstone doesn't work and any of them don't break, I do apologise, but there's no way I am placing all of this scaffolding again. That was ridiculous. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to collect it all at this rate. And I know that my game is going to lag with all this scaffolding, so we'll turn this off and we'll just do it as a replay. Oh my goodness. Jeez. I can't jump. I can't open shulker boxes. Oh my goodness, I can't even pick the scaffolding up. We're going to have to do something. We're just going to have to sacrifice it all. Well, there's 15,000 scaffolding gone. Ah, it failed in this corner. While that flashback recording went a lot better than I thought it was going to, especially with how much lag there was. It even lagged when I was actually looking at the recording, but once I rendered it, it came out just fine, so that looked quite nice. But now that that is finished, I am so happy. This was a massive project. To be honest, these walls didn't take me anywhere near as long as I was expecting. It actually only took me about 5 hours. It was like 1 hour per wall, which is surprisingly short. You would think, looking at it, there's loads on here, but yeah. So you can see how there's all these kind of different size. Like you can see the ones down here are blocked off by the vines and the skulk veins, and it just creates these different sized stars. Completely discovered by accident, but I think it looks amazing. It looks so good with the shaders on, and if I turn the shaders off, it doesn't look anywhere near as good, but it gives the right impression. I think this is purely for shaders. And now we actually have one more thing to do in this area, because we can't just leave these portals floating in the middle of here just looking terrible, so we're going to have to do something about that now.
Join me, and together we can rule the algorithm as creator and sub.
And that is actually it finished. After the little joke I made earlier, we are fully finished, and you may notice there's a few little differences from what I did in the time lapse. We now have these carpets on top. That is to stop the mobs spawning, because you would have seen in the time lapse that there's mobs. Another issue that we had is, look, it looks fine now and you can see the planets, but I added all these candles in all around the build. They were really annoying to put in, which is why I didn't put them in a time lapse, because it was just essentially scaffolding up and spreading them around. But the issue was, in this room, the planets were pretty much dark. They were like, you couldn't tell the colours. They all just looked like spheres in the sky. So that's why I went and added in all of these candles. And also, of course, on tops we have, if I can find one, maybe here. Yeah, there we go. We've got some lights on the top just to make it a bit easier. But that is it. That is the first room finished up. And oh my goodness, I think it looks absolutely incredible. We left these little entrances here to get inside for the portals. And the problem is now the inside is empty. And I have actually come up with a little design. We've got a bunch of resources to build up the insides of these. So what we're going to do is just kind of have it as like a mini version of each island. Nothing serious, no actual replicating, just literally to give it the visuals and make it mob proofed inside as well. And then this whole area is going to be fully mob proofed, which is just fantastic. And the inside of the Tatooine planet is finished, so you can take a look at what I'm talking about now. We've got a little house on the side, we've got some of the moisture collectors in here, we've got a little sort of cliff on the back, or a little rock face, and just a little path leading into the portal. And this whole thing is mob proof, nothing's going to spawn in here. We also have an ender chest and a double chest in here for me to dump items, and for me to get rockets if I need. That's the main reason I have those, because of course it is going to be difficult to reach these without rockets. Saying that, I am running quite low. But let's take a quick look inside of the Endor one, because there's something I left in here from earlier. So we've got this empty shulker box here, we've got this empty one here, and this one can go in here. This is all the shulker boxes that have some leftover resources, and you can see the amount of nether stars that I used to do those walls is one shulker box plus 189, so just under 2,000. Just under 2,000 stars covering all the walls and the ceiling and the floors. Pretty crazy. And yes, this chest here has all my empty shulker boxes. This is mostly, you know, the green is mostly scaffolding, so you don't need to worry too much about that. But yeah, all of these were skulk, and then all of this black glass and black concrete. So this has been a massive project, and I need to put all of this stuff away before I can actually build the design for Endor. So let me put all this away. I've been putting this off, and then we'll finish the last 2 planets. And now I have finished up the remaining rooms, and you can see inside here we have Endor, which kind of looks like the little Ewoks houses, the little bridge on there. And what I've done in all of them is just included a double chest and an ender chest in there, in case I need rockets or if I need to dump any items. I've also finished up the Mustafar interior, which has basically lava below it, and then a sort of metal bridge looking like the mining platform. Same thing again, double chest and ender chest. And I have actually put glass down here so that if I fly in and I fall through, I'm not going to accidentally kill myself in this little pit. So that should be quite helpful. One other thing that I did, even though it wasn't really necessary, I didn't need to do this. If we take a look in here, I just slabbed all of this inside because I didn't want this having mob spawning in it either, so why not? But now I can't believe this. I've actually finished the first room of my nether hub, and look how cool this looks. I can't believe how good it came out. If I'm completely honest, I had this idea since way back in the beginning of making this world, but I never imagined that it would look this good. And I know it's me saying that, but for me personally, I think this looks incredible. I mean, the walls especially, like, they look pretty much real. When you take out the planets, I took a photo of it on my phone, and it just looks like the night sky when you're zoomed out. It's really weird, but honestly, I'm so happy with how it all came out. A little bit disappointing with the candles, you know, they're not perfect, but they do better than any other light source. But there's one thing now missing. Any good nether hub is a way to connect areas, not just 3 little islands that are already close enough for me to fly between. And obviously, as you can see, I made 4 holes along the walls behind me here and over here so that I can actually get to the next areas. But now we need to get there. And given that you've probably watched Star Wars, I can imagine that you have a good guess as to what I'm actually going to do with these tunnels. But to do that, I'm going to need a lot of glass. I mean a lot. And I've been debating by myself if I should do this or not, but I think I am going to make a sand duper. Because if you take a look at my stats, and actually while we're here, let's just take a look at all these stats, because if we look at times mined, so if you don't believe...
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
If you don't believe that I mined this area, there's your proof. And also if we look at times used, I think some of my highest blocks here, look, so sand, 120,000 mined already, and I used 70,000 of that. But look, skulk, I've used 40,000 on this room, and then, what is it, like black glass and black concrete. I've used these in other places as well. I don't know if the nether stars will show up here. Well, you can see glow item frames 1,954. So yeah, we've done a serious amount of work on this first room. And like I said, I've already mined 120,000 sand over the course of the 9 months of me playing this world. And to make one of the tunnels, just one, because my Naboo base is looking like it's going to be 40,000 blocks away, because the perfect island is that far away. To make that one tunnel is going to cost me 250,000 sand. I can't be mining all that. I do not have the time. So I think we are just going to go ahead and make a sand duper. I won't be duping anything else, concrete powder, whatever. I have the gravel. I have gravel from my piglin farm above me. And yeah, so let's get on and try and make a sand duper for these tunnels. So for this sand duper, I have come to a completely separate portal because I actually want to do something with my main portal. So yeah, we're going to leave that one. Right, it's not working. Hey, there we go. I got it. Just by Oh wait, yeah, it is still there. I thought the portal was gone. Yeah, okay, cool. Only another 11 times. So standing right on the block just made it not work. I think I'm going to run out of blocks. I've only done one. Oh, I still had the auto clicker on and I used all my rockets. Okay, I've got the pixel down now. It's working. This is going a lot smoother. And there we go. That is one end portal with its frames cleared out. So now we need to start building up this sand duper. And I have no idea how to do that. So let me look up a video. Alright, I have all the resources. We've got the room dug out. Let's get to building this duper. Now that we have the farm built, we need to go and build the collection system, and you'll see here I've already dug out a nice big area to place this in, and these endermen are right in my way. So we have everything here. Let's just get to setting this up. So because of the sheer amount of sand that we're going to be getting, I decided to go with a shulker loader just to save on space on the storage and save me time later. I don't want to sit there grabbing all of those out of chests. It's going to be ridiculously long, so yeah, it's going to be much easier just to have the shulker boxes. Oh, I forgot something. I need a flint and steel. Oh, it turns out I have one in my toolbox actually. Saves me going back. I just have a very simple little fire setup to burn the items when it gets full, when I don't have any shulker boxes left, because obviously we don't want this to be overfilling. That would be a nightmare. Well, I said I was going to use a shulker box loader, but actually it's 4, one for each. That way it can just go at hopper speeds and I can have a very basic shulker loader. So these are the main layers here where the shulker box is being dispensed, and we can put them in this chest. And then it will get filled up from here, and now we just need to do the next layer, which will have the piston on it and the last bit of redstone. I don't know what this block is supposed to be doing. Doesn't appear to be connected to anything. And now the shulker loaders are done, so we can just go ahead and place in the sand catching compartment. Now these are 2 blocks deep, because on the video that I watched they were actually only 1 block deep, and I found that a lot of the sand was getting stuck on here in my tests, so I decided to go 2 blocks in. That way we're not going to get any lag caused by sand that isn't going in properly. And lastly, we've got a little AFK chamber in here. So now that is all ready to go. It's all ready to use. Now we just need to give it a test. I'm just going to check in here. Yep, we did drop something. I hope there's nothing in these hoppers. The other thing I need to do is put a bunch of shulker boxes. And I was going to dye them yellow. Actually, you know what? Let's just leave the dye. But I'll just put all the shulkers. This is going to take a serious amount of shulker boxes to fill this up. I'm going to put 64 in each section. Actually, if you include the one that's dispensed, it's going to be 65. Ideally though, I won't need to use any more after this. This will be just it, because once I have all these shulker boxes filled, I'm going to be using the sand before I use the machine again. So yeah, we should be completely fine to do this. And that will be 260 shulkers of sand, which is about 450,000. Of course, after I've done this, I will need to smelt all of the sand, but that's not really going to be a problem now, is it? Because I have my super smelter, which is, you know, 1 shulker box per 5 minutes. And there we go, everything is set up. So let's get this tested and we'll get it moving and see if I run into any issues. Well, unlike a lot of my farms that I build, this one actually worked straight away first time. I'm super happy about that. These ones are empty currently, but I have all this sand here and these ones as well, all filled with sand. I actually have 390 shulker boxes. I've already moved some into my Mustafar Island ready to smelt up. So we have 3 double chests all full of sand. Here we go, ready to smelt up in here. I also went and spent a little bit of time at my blue flower farm, because obviously I'm going to need a lot of blue, as I mentioned, and I actually got 20 shulker boxes of it. It took about 2 or 3 hours, which is, you know, that's fine for 20 shulker boxes. It's a bit long sitting there waiting, but yeah, there we go. I have lots of blue dye now, and of course we'll need some white dye as well, so that will be another thing which I already have technically in here, but I hope it's going to be enough. But now it is time to start smelting up all of these shulker boxes. Well, that is all of the glass smelted up now, so we've got all of that here. 3 full double chests full of shulker boxes, all fully glass. So I should be okay for quite a while. It's going to take me a long time to place all that down, so we can always come in and just make some more later. But now, I think it's time to start working on the tunnels. And I left all this on the floor because I didn't want to give it away, but I need to use a lot of concrete. And yeah, we're just going to get straight into the tunnels, because without the tunnels, it is not really a nether hub, is it? And that is it. We have the first room and the first tunnels built up. So let's go take a look now. You can probably tell from what I was building in the time lapse what this actually is. But let's just jump straight in.
We're losing a deflector shield. Go strap yourselves in. I'm going to make the jump to light speed.
Here we go. And that's right. We have our first hyperspace lanes built up. And at the moment, you know, it's only one little journey here. I don't have all of them done, although I did actually go through and build up the start of all of these ones. So each little exit has a lane coming out of it, and then obviously there's nothing on the other side of those lanes. It's not perfect. When you move away from the banners, you can see that the... oh, I'm probably going to die here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Whoa, the banner makes a really cool pattern there.
Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova and then it end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
Whoops. So obviously this works best with the shaders on, but if I turn those off, then you should be able to see it still looks pretty decent. It's still alright, it's just not exactly the same. It doesn't have that same tunnel effect for the hyperspace lane and also the glowing of the end rods. In some ways, I actually think the end rod looks better without the glowing, but overall, this nether hub is definitely built for the shaders. But that actually only leaves one build left for this nether hub for you to see. And after that, it's just going to be repeating these steps, obviously some different planets for the different areas, but it's just going to be connecting everything up, and the rest is just going to be repeating what I've already done. So for the next step, what we need to do, we come down here. I have something set up for this first part of the nether hub to connect. So through this portal, this is where we have the raid and ominous bottle farm, and you'll see I have a pillar up here because we need to once again clear out a large area, and I have something prepared. I've decided to not mine all of that again. I'm going to try TNT, see if that's quicker, because we're going to have to do this a few times for the different areas. So here we go. Let's just light these up. And I probably didn't need to do all of them like this, but I'm going to do it because that's more fun that way. So this method isn't perfect. I'm wondering if it's going to be better if I just spam the TNT more. Well, it certainly worked. It cleared out everything I wanted it to. It's just a case of, is it quicker? And I think what we'll do is we'll just TNT this whole area and we'll see how long that takes really. And that is another giant hole dug out, and to be honest there wasn't nearly as many blocks and it's a bit smaller, but it still was probably quicker with the TNT. I don't know for sure, but what I will say is that it was a lot more fun. I really enjoyed that, and to be honest I'm going to be doing any holes like that in the future. I'm not really worried about the resources because both of those are renewable now thanks to my sand duper, and obviously I have have gunpowder as much as I need, so that's not a problem. Now we need to build it, and to be honest, I've been going around gathering up resources because this is another nightmare project with all these shulker boxes of things to place down again, and I'm going to have to build multiple of these. So this nether hub is really turning into quite the project, but this is the last of the different designs we're going to be using. And for some of that stuff I needed sea lanterns, so I had to go get in those because I don't technically have my guardian farm yet, even though you saw me build it in the last episode. But I'm quite happy I did that because now I have this guardian head, and this is quite a rare one. There's a low chance to get it, and that means I don't have to worry about killing any more of these guys. And obviously when I have the guardian farm, which you guys already know that I have, so yeah, that's a bit of a weird thing because this project has been going on in the background for so long. But let's get straight into the building. So if you are not very familiar with what I've just built, this is actually from the Clone Wars TV series, and it is the Orondia refueling station, and I'm going to kill myself here, going through hyperspace. But yeah, this is the refueling station. This is actually where a fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan takes place. I won't go into detail about why, in case you want to watch the Clone Wars series, but it's a really cool scene, and also I just wanted to build this. I think it's a really cool area. We've got a couple of vehicles up here. I don't know what these vehicles are. They're just in the image. I couldn't find any information about them. I don't know. Maybe I can look a bit more detailed. But yeah, the specific ones, don't really know why they're here. They're just kind of cargo ships or something. But what we do have is we have this portal in here which will lead us to the pillager farm and the raid farm, and that's just an easy way to get there now. I was planning on using this refueling station as a place to fill up rockets and also having portals here, but I think this actually is just going to be a spot where we can kind of turn the tunnels, because obviously we can't have everything in one dead straight line. Although down this line here is actually where the what's it called? The drowned farm is down this end. So I went a bit different with the sky here. We've only got the stars halfway up and we've got this mixture of colours going up into a darker sky. That's because this is actually a surface, and obviously you would have some sort of light distortion. It's not the same as having the planets up in the air. But that only leaves one thing left to do for this episode, because that is all the different designs that we're actually going to go with to build all of these tunnels. And for the final part of this episode, we're just going to go ahead and finish up the next parts of the Nether Hub to connect all of the portals we have remaining, except from these ones over here. If I can get out. It is a bit tricky, but I'll get used to it. There's a few over here, right, where... Look, there's a portal down here, and then I think there's one somewhere. There's another one around here somewhere. So there's a couple of portals here, and they're too short for the tunnels, and this is the only problem I'm finding. Oh, it's down here is the other one. So there we go. This one should be okay, because this one is just about long enough. It's this middle one, I can't figure out how to get to it in a clean way. And yeah, I guess we're going to have to figure that out in the future. But now let's jump into building up the last of these rooms for this episode. So the room at the end of this tunnel, I didn't actually show it fully on camera. That's because it's actually going to be like a little welcome area. I plan on doing a world download for you guys to come and check this out if you want, and in that area I'm going to place down some item frames and some signs and stuff, and have like armor and everything for you guys to take if you want to check it out in survival. If you want to go in creative, you won't really need any of that, but we'll have rockets and elytras in there for people as well to get the full experience. But I don't know if I want to show that yet. I mean, it's up to you guys. Let me know. Feel free to tell me in the Discord or give me a comment on the YouTube video and let me know if you'd like me to show that next episode. It's nothing crazy. It's not really Star Wars related. it's just like a little nice area for you to start in, really. But let's check out the last couple of rooms that we did here. So first up, we have a nice long tunnel going through here, which will lead down into the room where my end portal is. So this is a small room. I made a very small room for this because it's one planet, and I just didn't really care to make too many big rooms. The big rooms take a lot of time, so I think I'm going to save those for the actual... Okay, maybe I've said this wrong, because I was going to say the actual Star Wars planets. This is supposed to be Lothal, which is the home planet of Ezra, if you've watched Rebels. If you haven't, then you won't really know about that. But there's a reason why I've made this planet my end portal room, and we'll get to that later in the series. But I have a really cool plan for the end island, and yeah, I mean, honestly, the plan has expanded in my mind, and I think it's going to look really, really cool. But you can see how it doesn't look quite as good when the room is small with the stars, but it still looks pretty good. I still think it looks like just about right, even with a smaller room. So they really do work well. And then the final room... No, I've gone the wrong way. So this is one issue that I do have, is finding my way through these tunnels. But in the final room, you'll see this is kind of a shorter tunnel. We didn't have enough space to do the full hyperlane. But this is actually where all of my farms are. So we've got the slime farm, we've got the glow ink sac farm, and we have the witch farm in here, which I've decided to go with the blocks that are for the farms, or just make it look like the blocks from the farms. These are here just to sort the light level out at the moment. We'll fix that later. But yeah, so we've got the witch farm up here. And then the same for the other two, we have the portals inside. No decoration really in these whatsoever. These are just plain rooms, because I didn't really need to. I haven't really bothered making anything special for this, because these are just farms. I'll be popping here and going back home, and that's it. I do think they look quite cool as planets though. They have like an interesting look to them, considering that none of these are realistic. So as I just mentioned, getting through these tunnels has been quite difficult. Now there's something that I want to do to kind of fix that. So I have an idea. Let's see how it looks when I build these now. And that is this little builds that you can see behind me. They are supposed to be miniature versions of some of the vehicles that the characters fly. So you can probably take a guess as to what this one is. That's a little Vader's TIE fighter there. And then this one over here, we have a little mini Naboo starfighter. So essentially, I will know that this one here is where I go off to Naboo. I go through this tunnel. And this one over here will be Vader's castle straight on ahead. And then obviously to the right, we have the end portal and the slime farm and all the other farms. This one's not particularly great. It's not my best design, but it is difficult to make them this small. I do like the candles on the back. I think they really help with the impression. But this Naboo starfighter, I think this is really, really cool. I mean, it doesn't look exactly like it, obviously, because I'm trying to do it on a tiny scale. But I still think it looks really cool, and I'll know from the colours which direction is the right way to go. And that is all for today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you like the builds. There will be some schematics that I'll post for being able to build this, if you really want to. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I am so done with item frames. I've done so many, way too many for my liking. In fact, looking at my stats, that's 4,300 of the glow item frames used, which is 2 and a bit shulker boxes, 2.5. Way too many, just ridiculous. But look at this, it looks so cool, and obviously I have other rooms as well. And I think the vehicles work really nicely there. Thank you very much for watching, but let's make the hyperspeed jump to the next episode. May the force be with you, always.